first of all, is anyone here, before coming here today and coming to this little seminar, were you aware that we had scholarships here at ECC? Just curious. Nobody? Okay. So it goes without saying that no one has actually participated and received a scholarship as of yet. Okay. How many here are at ECC for the first time this fall? Okay, about half or so of you, maybe a little bit more, and a few of you are returning, right? Okay. Well, what has happened with the scholarship program this year is that we've actually taken a look at what we've been doing, and we've found a way to kind of revamp and promote a little bit better the scholarships, because many of our students, we've come to realize do not know that we have scholarships here, and there is all kinds of funding out there. And so the first thing I want you to take a look at here, we have this little bookmark that we made, and they're going to be all over the campus. Some of them are out there right now, I think, in the financial aid offices. And it's not just a bookmark to mark the page of the book you're working on, but it's also to get you to our foundation website. The ECC Foundation oversees the scholarships that I'm going to talk about today. Has anyone been to the website as of yet? Just curious. Nobody? Good. So you're all learning about this for the first time. I don't know if I introduced myself. I'm Chris Gengo, and I'm here working specifically with the foundation on the scholarship program. So when I'm done with my little spiel here, if there's any questions, please feel free to ask them. There is a handout, a two-sided handout that I also passed out. They should be either on your seats, or there's a few extra on the table. Feel free to grab. Sir, just coming on in. We're just starting to talk about scholarships. I've got a couple handouts. If you want to grab some either on the front chairs, you can come up close so I can hear you and you can hear me. We also have a few over on the table. Thank you. So the scholarship program is actually scholarships that are going to be awarded in the next academic year. So the scholarships that you're going to be applying for online this fall and into the winter are going to be for scholarships, for the most part, that are going to be used in the fall of 2013, excuse me, and 2014. Now there are many different types of scholarships. Hi guys, thanks for joining us. The front seats have some of these handouts, so please come on, sit up front, grab a handout, and grab a bookmark. We're just getting started here talking about the ECC Foundation and the scholarships that are available to the students, and there's a variety of different scholarships out there. The first smaller piece is our bookmark, which has the foundation website on it, taking you right to our scholarship page. And in the coming weeks, we're going to have a live link so that you can actually start the registration process for scholarships. As I was just mentioning, scholarships that are going to be applied for the most part, are going to be those that are going to be then those funds used in the fall of 2013 into the spring of 2014 for the most part. Now we have different types of scholarships, as you can see on the flyer here. We have those for veterans and military service, those that are related to alums that have been through. Maybe you're the son, daughter, niece, nephew, aunt, uncle of someone who is a graduate here at ECC. Those that are going to be going on from their 2-year associate degree onto a 4-year college. We have different scholarships for those students. Those that are coming from a church or religious affiliation. We have those that have a relationship with the Ford Motor Company, although it's not limited just to them. We have those that are in our honors program, those that are non-traditional students, perhaps coming back not just from high school, but have been out maybe in the workforce or have been just away from the educational world for a while and are coming back as a non-traditional student. Whether you're a full-time student or part-time student, we have scholarships for you, and those that are single parents as well. And there's many others, and I didn't want to list the whole thing because it would have covered the whole page. The program book is going to be coming out very shortly. This year it's going to be in a new format that will make it much easier for students to identify which scholarships they're eligible for. When the book comes out, it's going to both be online as a PDF on our foundation website, which is the link I just gave you. It's listed on the page and on the bookmark. And it'll also be in a print version that'll be available at different locations throughout the college, at the foundation office, through student government offices, through the admissions offices. So it'll be in several different locations. So important things to know. All of our scholarship applications require students to perform a few different things. One thing is that we're going to ask for your, to write an essay, for you to write about your educational goals and about your career goals. So what do you hope to gain going through this experience at ECC as a student? What do you hope to achieve once you've left with your degree out there in the working world? And those are essays that you can actually start working on now. You don't have to wait for this, so you may want to think a little bit about what those goals are so that you can answer. And what's nice is that once you've filled it out, no matter how many different scholarships you apply for, you've already answered that question. It applies for all of them. You don't have to answer again. There are going to be a few scholarships that do ask other specific information relating to your degree, and you'll see that as you go through the process, but at least you'll have this out of the way, and sometimes there's a little bit of overlap there. Another thing that will be required of all scholarships is that you need to have at least the student transcript, your copy of it, so that when you're going through the scholarship, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, you don't need to worry about the transcript right now. You want to wait until after you've finished the fall semester and get a transcript in January. So it'll have all of your most recent information on there. Now, when it comes to the transcript, there are that item, that particular document, plus there may be other documents requested in the application process. You'll need to scan those. If you don't have access to a scanner, then you'll be able to scan them by simply mailing or dropping off at our foundation office, which is on the main floor here in the back corner is the foundation office. We can then have those scanned for you, okay, so that you can help. We want to help you with this process. All applicants are responsible for submitting all the required materials. So there's some information that might be like preferred, like we might prefer somebody with this particular, you know, like financial aid may be considered, not necessary, but will be considered as one option, but not required. There are things that are required, and you must be certain that you have answered and either uploaded documents or answered the questions that are necessary for all the requirements of that particular scholarship. Otherwise, they will not be considered. And I hate to say that, and I don't want people losing money that they could possibly get because they have a great application, but they didn't do one thing or do other things that they needed to do to complete that application. So be sure that you're thorough in answering all the questions. And we prompt little reminders with the online software to kind of help remind you, yes, I did do this, I did do that, and that all the requirements are satisfied for the scholarship. Now, some of the scholarships will require that there be one or sometimes more than one letter of recommendation. And I was thinking about this before talking here this morning to you. You don't have to wait for a requirement. I would encourage anyone who is going to be applying for a scholarship, think about who can I get a letter of, a letter of recommendation from. And the reason I say that is because that might be just the little extra that you give that'll put you on the top, and that might be the difference between getting a scholarship and not. So whether it's required or not, giving a little bit extra is going to help you make it to the top. Yes? That's a good question. Well, if you're like a non-traditional student coming back now, and that's the most recent or relevant that you have, having something on the academic from high school I think would be great. Having one or more. If you've been in the work environment as well, or volunteered, if you're a volunteer, any of that type of activity that you've been involved in, getting a recommendation from any of those, or from a religious, or other, whatever you're involved in, I think that would help push you up and above all those others, okay, even if it's not required again. Now, the awards will be given out in April. So I know students would love, I know if I were a student, I'd be like, how am I doing? What's the process? You know, do I know if I got it or not? Unfortunately, you can't call about them. You can't, you know, be knocking on the door. Hey, you will be notified, okay, by, I think we said email. Yeah, mail or email, snail mail or email. Okay, unfortunately, they can't talk about it over the phone, so even calling the foundation office, it won't help. Sorry about that. In regards to satisfying tuition obligations, what this basically means is that sometimes you might have a scholarship with X amount of money. You may have more than one scholarship, and it may pay for more than just tuition. Maybe there's more money for books or other types of things. The bursar's office needs to be satisfied. Your account needs to be, you know, current before any of those funds might then be released to you as a student to pay for books or fees or other types of things. You need to be aware of that. On the back of the page, I've kind of done a what can I do now? You know, what do I need to do when the book is released in the next coming week or two? And what do I need to do in January? So this kind of helps you. Then what are the action steps? So you want to gather all the information from your FAFSA forms, which you need to fill out anyway for financial aid. I think almost everybody fills that out, I believe. And then you'll use that information when you're registering online. You'll go to the foundation website. It'll walk you through the steps. There'll be a live link in the near future when you're able to start registering for the scholarship. That's when you're going to need this information. And then you want to confirm what degree program you're in. You know, whether it's an Associate of Arts, of Science, of Applied Science, Occupational Science, or if you're in a one-year certificate program. If you're uncertain, you need to go find out, talk to your professor or whoever's in charge of the department to be sure what that is, because that's the first question you'll be asked on the questionnaire when you're going through that part of the online registration. And then again, I talked about educational and career goals. You know, this is a great time before you get too bogged down with a lot of different schoolwork and other types of obligations. That's what life is. We have all kinds of things that come up. Take the time now to start thinking about what is my educational goal essay going to be, what is my career goal essay going to be, and then start gathering those letters of recommendation. Again, you don't know yet if they're required or they're not. I'd start getting them anyway. You guys that are here, that are paying attention, in my opinion, are already way ahead of the rest of the students because you guys are engaged and you're starting to get the answers. I'm going to answer your questions soon. We have time for that. So then the next thing is, what do I do in the next coming week or two when the scholarship book is released online? And you want to go through the book thoroughly, whether you go through the hard copy or you go through the online book, and start looking at things that you think are relevant that you could apply for. And again, you can apply for more than one scholarship, and I would encourage it. There's no cap or max. No, there is none. So then, that's what you do now, and that is going to be open through February. So it's not just a matter of, filling out now. It's great to get it over with, get it done, but you'll be able to go back, or if you're not able to apply, right away when it first comes out, it's going to be open well into February. Okay, so that there'll be plenty of time to get all the information in. And then I said in January to update your transcript. And that's really pretty much it. So I'm open to whatever questions you may have. Well, you need to go through, and I think this is almost, I can't say it's on everyone, but I believe most of the scholarships, and possibly all of them, because I'm trying to go through memory here, do require that you get your TAP or your whatever other types of financial aid is eligible for you before they'll start looking at the scholarship thing. Some of them absolutely require it, but I would assume all of them are going to require that, so that you go through that process, get what's due you. The scholarship is really for those that need or qualify for scholarships above and beyond what they would be getting anyway from federal aid, in whatever form it comes in. That's a good question. Yes? She's asking, if you get scholarships, are you no longer eligible for TAP or other types of financial aid? To the best of my knowledge, and I wish I could give you a definite, to the best of my knowledge, it doesn't affect it. But I would maybe double check with financial aid, all right? Because the scholarships pretty much come on the back end after the financial aid is you've already gone through that process. Okay, but you may want to just double check that with financial aid. It didn't affect you. Yeah, I don't believe it does. Oh, okay. Right, great. Right, so one is saying it did not affect her. Yes, in blue. Some are based on academics, some do not look at academic at all. Some look at financial, some look at other criteria. There is a listing when you go through the book. One of the things that we wanted to do to help make it easier this year is that we have what we call general scholarships, which simply means, and there's a few pages of this, that there's no degree requirement. You don't have to be matriculated in any particular program to get the scholarship. We have those that are veterans or service members, and they can look at that. That doesn't mean it's only limited to them, but maybe it's given preference to them. Sometimes it's only them. And then we look at the degree program. So if you say, I'm in culinary arts, and so I can look at culinary arts and say, these are the scholarships that I can apply to. And then there are some times when scholarships, it'll be listed, but it'll say, you don't apply through our website, you have to go directly to the department. And that will be noted, so you'll know what that is. And then the same thing with the certificate programs, they're on their own page. But to answer your question, no, it's not always tied to GPA, it's not always tied to financial aid, it's not always tied to any one particular criteria. Yes, I'm sorry. Are they renewable? For the most part, you have to reapply. Some of them will not necessarily award you a second year in a row. Some of them are renewable. And there are one or two that are coming out that are actually 2-year awards. So if you're in a 2-year program, it'll actually pay for all 2 years. You don't have to reapply for it because it's up front. You're guaranteed locked in for 2 years. So it kind of runs the gamut. Yeah. Yes?
So if the ceremony is in April, you'll see that scholarship in September, right?
Right. So you'll be getting an award notice in April. And actually there's a whole luncheon. And some of our winners actually get an opportunity to meet the donors, which is great. And I really encourage you to look at some of the stories behind these scholarships, because a lot of them represent, you know, those that have been where you're sitting. They've gone through, they talk about their challenges, either going through the educational process or what happened in life. And somebody wants to remember them. And there's some great stories, and I really encourage you to read the stories as well as, the criteria and the dollar amount. Okay. We've also increased the awards. They're at least $500 per scholarship this year as a minimum. And that was from feedback from students saying, hey, we're going through all this, and this is kind of a process, and this is time and effort. And to go through that process, it'd be nice if we had, at least a minimum we knew we were going to get. And so this year, it's going to be at least a $500 minimum per award. And most of the awards will list what they are. Some of them say varies, some of them say, because there are other factors in determining what that is. But you're going to get at least $500 if you win that scholarship. Any other questions? I don't know, because I haven't dealt with EOP. I don't know what that is. Maybe someone can explain that to me. Okay. Okay. There are scholarships that are not run through the foundation, and therefore I'm not aware, and you're not going to see in the book every single scholarship that you could possibly apply to. What you will see are the scholarships that the foundation is working with directly or bringing attention to for the different departments that have their own process. There are tons of scholarships out there. If you go online and just Google stuff that have absolutely nothing to do with the foundation, the departments, and so I would encourage you to find all the different scholarships that you could possibly apply for, even outside. She's asking here, you know, what kind of personal information, what websites should we go to? Should it be a .org organization? I would be as leery as you are giving information to any stranger as you are going out and looking. I cannot, you know, we haven't vetted others. I don't know everything that's out there outside of what we're doing here. Your chances of getting something here are probably more likely. I'm not going to say it isn't, but there's some like national or regional or what have you types of foundations. I encourage you to investigate it. I would be leery about giving information if you don't know who you're talking to. So if there's a contact information before you submit anything, I would encourage you to call that. I would encourage you to do a Better Business Bureau type of search on them. And if they're like a foundation or a charity, there's a website called guidestar.org, guide, GUIDESTAR.org. And all nonprofits are through there. So most likely if you're going to get a scholarship, it's going to be coming through a foundation, and it'll be a nonprofit. You can also check if it's in New York State. I'm just kind of giving you my own personal information. New York State, you want to see if something's a registered organization. You can go to corporate names in New York State. I can't tell you the exact website, but if you Google corporate names New York State, you'll get the website from the state, New York State Department of State, I believe it is. Yes. What's that? The GuideStar one? It's a guide, like an Indian guide or what have you. The GUIDE star, STAR.org. Guiding light, I don't know. Are there any other questions? Yes.
Let's say if you earn a scholarship from a whole different, not from UCC, or another place, you get disqualified from the actual scholarship?
Will it disqualify you if you apply for some other scholarship outside of ECC? Will it disqualify you from getting an ECC scholarship through the foundation? It will not. No, it will not. But if you do win a scholarship like that, you might need to update your information, because if you're applying for, let's say, a financial needs-based type of scholarship, I mean, obviously that would change what your financial need would be. So you may need to consider that. I'm not saying it's going to disqualify you, but you might need to consider that. Yes? There are great point. There are scholarships for those that complete their 2-year degree. There's not necessarily, if you're like in the middle, you only have like X amount of credits and and then you're moving to UB. I haven't seen scholarships like that. I'm not going to say there aren't any out there, but as far as what the foundation oversees, I don't believe we have any scholarships that will take you as a transfer student out. But don't hold me to it. You might find something in there. For the most part, it's going to be those that complete their degree and then move on to a 4-year college. Right. Well, it would go with you. It would either go to like its UB or whatever the college would be. Okay. In some cases, it may actually go to you as the student. Okay. Yes. The question is, should you go looking for scholarships from UB or Buff State or any other four-year college? I would say yes, I would encourage you. And at least there, it takes away the anxiety. You talked about not knowing who you're dealing with. At least there you know who you're dealing with. Okay, that's a great point. Any other questions? Well, I thank you all for attending today, and I wish you all very good luck. And so keep an eye out. The scholarship book, like I said, will be out in the next week or two. Okay, and you'll see it online, and you'll start seeing booklets being dispersed throughout the campuses. Thank you.